I remember very well the first time this all started. I was only 7 years old, sleeping in my cozy bed in our San Francisco flat. My bedroom was part of an old San Francisco house turned into 2 flats years ago. We lived in the lower level flat. It was a cozy old building that was once a Victorian house, now modernized. As I sleep soundly, I had no idea what was about to happen to me. The most important experience of my life, and that it has been. Something totally unknown and strange was about to make itself known to me and forever change how I view reality. My life at this point had been average for a boy growing up in the 50s. My parents both worked and I went to school. I was an only child with no brothers or sisters. I had a large bedroom to myself that looked towards playland and the ocean. My interests were different than most kids my age. I had my eyes on the stars. I loved astronomy, art, science, and music. I still joke today that my first football was a telescope. I always wondered when I looked up at the night sky what was out there. This night, I would find out.
We are starting early. As soon as I close this door, hopefully my dog won't mind too much. I want to thank all of you for all the birthday wishes. It's very, very sweet of you. I had a nice birthday. I stayed home. I worked on the new film, which you're all going to like, I hope. It's called The Keep. It's science fiction, but it definitely has our visitors in it. Not the ones you're used to, but you'll find out. It's just quite a different film than The Invited. I wanted to talk a bit before I brought David on. And I found out about Dior bags yesterday. Do you all know about that? I'm waiting in the comments. Let's see. Do you know what Dior bags are? You don't? Well, it's come to my attention that there's a lot of banning going on TikTok and social media in general. That if you put up a UFO video and you tag it UFO or even say the word UFO in it, no, not New Jersey drones. Well, they could qualify, but basically, or Oscar bags. That's also the other one. But the Dior bags is pretty clever because if the bots were going to take down every UFO video, actual view UFO video, which seems that the authorities are concerned about, authorities like Elon Musk, probably, who really is no authority at all, but he thinks he is. But they're going around trying to take us down. And this is just the beginning of this stuff. I've been talking to a lot of the people in the community that are quite deeply involved, and you know a lot of their names, and they know about this too. We're just hoping that it doesn't affect all of us, but they are doing that. They are banning, and of course, in the UK, I don't know if it's for real or not, but I've heard that you can be arrested for if you're a news reporter for focusing on this material and or putting up videos. My dog is restless. Um, so this is kind of nasty, and this all kind of started when the new administration started. So amazing, huh? So we're gonna push ahead as always. Um, it's been very quiet lately for me. I know it hasn't been for David. Probably hasn't been for a lot of you. Has it been? It has been for me, but last night was really different. Um, and I got it was an amazing experience that I'll go into it another time. At 4 o'clock, we're going to bring on David. Of course, I did tell you about the crystal disappearing and reappearing and how that was amazing. So there's been little bits and pieces. It's been so cold. Mary bought both of us for Christmas a Celestron 4-inch telescope. I know I should have got the 8-inch, but if you tried lifting one of those things lately, I had one and I got rid of it because the flood destroyed it. We had a 12-inch and that got destroyed by the flood as well. So we got a 4-inch, and comparing it to my 1978 Celestron C8, the C4 Next Star actually has way better optics than they had back then. And I was absolutely blown away for the few minutes I was able to look at the moon with it. But I wasn't able to triangulate the computer so that it would locate objects for me, which is a nice trick, or try any astrophotography because it's just been awful. The weather's been awful. So as soon as that clears up, I'm going to hook up the Sony A7 directly into the back of the telescope, and who knows what we'll get on camera with a 1,000 millimeter lens at f4, I think it is. So that's been going on, and I'm doing a little bit of work for Whitley, and I'm doing work for another person. I got commissioned to do a book cover for a major UFO book coming out, which is really nice. It's nice to be needed. You know, that people like my work well enough they're willing to hire me to do it. It's really cool. That happened a lot during the 90s, but it's starting to happen again. I'm really grateful because it helps out a lot. So um, it is now 3:58. I'm going to bring David on because I know he has a lot to say. So let's bring him on. Hi, David. Welcome back.
Hey, brother. Yeah, I love your sense of humor.
Yeah, well, these days you gotta have one. Oh boy, my mic is up loud.
Tell me about it. It's such a shit show out there. Pardon my French.
Yeah, well, we got to watch our language. We do have young people watching, and but it's okay. It's okay to say bad things about certain people because they're bad people, and
that's about as bad as it's going to get. But you know, yeah. So,
we're not going to go into it though, because we don't really discuss politics, which is stupid, or religion, but we discuss spirituality and we discuss UFOs, not UAPs, UFOs. and non-human intelligence. So what is new with you? This is your show. We want to hear from you. We want to hear what's going on. I know you sent me a bunch of pictures, and you probably have more, which you can screen share, or I can grab them from mine here. But you always have a lot of activity.
Oh man. It was such a blessing, first of all, to be included in your family and this community, because when we all start experiencing the moment when they contact us, your life changes totally. And so it's no different for me today, my feelings about contact with them, than it was on January 7th, 2017, when they came and got me. And so I still feel the same way. And it's always this, it's almost like they're stepping in because they allowed me to remember everything that happened. They were able to engage with me fully about what my participation would be for them if I wanted to help them. And so it's an honor to be here with you, because like I've spoke or emailed you and Mary about in the past, it's really important to listen to our hearts and our inner voice about what's going on, because you're born with your heart, you pass away and move on to the next place with your heart, and your heart will never lie to you. And so if you just follow your heart, you can follow what strings of reality are honest and full of truth. And so you're not a talking head, you're not controlling the narrative, and your people are also very receptive. And I don't discount anybody in the chat room. And this is, I'm not even targeting. Yeah.
They're our family.
Right. And so being utterly honest with you means that it makes it a safe place to be. So I'm so happy about that. I'm very selective about who I listen to for a source of reason, because every experience that happens to us, everybody in this family and in some of the other groups that I speak to regularly, we all have an individual experience. But my reoccurring experience, every time I'm communicated with by someone from a different place or people from a different planet that I don't know anything about, will come down because they know that I'm in contact. And it's like a reverse ambassador role. It's almost like they want to learn about people from people who are safe to be around. And so them coming into your house and playing with the crystal, that same thing happens to all of us when they come in the house. I had a fossil go missing, a little fish fossil that I had since I was 15 years old. And I had a crystal go missing too. Well, like 3 months later, in my desk drawer, there was a beautiful piece of white paper. It was like vellum, but it was new. And it had an old Korean bell in it, a beautiful little bronze bell. And so I took it to a friend of mine who works at the Natural History Museum in downtown LA, and he said, "My God, this is 900 years old. Where did you get this?" And it was almost like they're playing show and tell or swap-a-roo, because my house is full of like bric-a-brac and Chinese antiques and funny stuff that I because I lived in Europe for 12 years and I was in the wine business. I taught wine and food chemistry and did tasting. And so I picked up an enormous amount of ephemera, because I've been collecting, antique bric-a-brac. Some stuff's 300 years old, but if you see it at a garage sale when you're in Germany, you just have to buy it. So I brought all this stuff home. They love looking at artwork, and they love looking at crap on your shelf. And so when they're in the house, whether you're awake or they put you out or they're there, they're there, they've asked you to just sort of leave them alone for a little while, then they look at all your stuff, they pick it up and examine it. This whole idea about them using us to learn about people, it really resonated with me since I last spoke over you the last time we got together. But you sort of know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. We all do. Oh, there. Yeah, it looks like Looks like the rocket engine is lit up for some reason on the X1. What I'm interested in is, I don't know if you're seeing it in your monitor, whatever you're using, but there's a purple shaft of light coming down in front of you. Do you know where that's coming from?
No, I
You
have
don't
no
see
idea.
it?
No, I don't see it. I don't
Does
see it.
everybody else see it? It's like a shaft of purple light, and it actually comes down in front of your face. I can tell because it's making parts of your face purple as well, but it's
Oh,
a
how
very
strange.
odd light, and
Well,
it's
that's
similar to
lovely.
it's similar to some of the things that we've been watching, and we watch everything when it comes to paranormal and UFO videos that have recently been shot. Yeah, it's Jamie can see it. And it's very similar to some of these weird plasma looking things that appear in a lot of people's photography they've been doing of orbs and things.
Well, I'm in my,
It could be just something on your lens, but
no,
it doesn't look like it. It's
no,
definitely
we
there.
have I'm using my son's laptop, and he has a really nice Mac, and it's new,
Mhm.
and it has a really good camera, and it's all nice and clean because he's very
Well,
sensitive.
some people are saying it's a lens flare. I have been a cinematographer, filmmaker ever since high school, and then professionally in Hollywood for a lot of years, and I've never seen one like this happen quite like this. So
Well, it's like
it's
I was
very
saying.
unusual.
It's like I was saying a second ago. It's almost like they step inside of me because the ships are really pretty, and
Yours
it's
is
nice. Hey,
Yeah,
Mary.
pinky it's pink. It's
Hi.
pinky purple. Yeah.
So the ships are really pretty. It's really pretty to see ships, and they know that we love to look at their ships. And I know everybody in the community is going to know exactly what I mean when all of you went outside last week
You're breaking
and
up.
one came down and showed itself. Right? Okay, well that's the energy. I used to think that it was some black ops guy interfering, but now I realize our technology can't handle the energy from them when we're channeling
Yeah, I've heard that.
it, and we get blipped.
The interference we're getting is not from them; it's from our own people, and
That
thus the
too. I mean,
absolute silence from our whistleblowers lately.
oh yeah, they're cranking up the 5G towers, and the scalar waves are amazing. I mean, I have a huge background in astrophysics. I studied it at university. I got a degree in higher mathematics, and this all happened after they took me away because I had no cognitive abilities with higher mathematics at all. I used to get migraines in junior high school when they introduced fractions in the 7th grade. I used to get migraines because I had severe mathematics dyslexia, and so I couldn't look at coordinate functions of numbers and do higher multiplication or division. I just couldn't do it, and so I ended up getting headaches. And so I just sort of had to look through all the college I could, doing terrible chores to get through mathematics when I got to Fresno State. And then bloody hell, Steve, I never thought I would ever be able to do anything besides count my toes and my fingers to count to 20. After January 7th, 2017, when they returned me, they had changed everything. My neural net, my ability to absorb huge, vast amounts of mathematic information in higher geometry and coordinate systems. All of a sudden, I was reading about Richard Feynman's Mandelbrot and fractals and fractal wells and all the different aspects of reality. It changed everything. So what happened to me was on January 22nd, this is like the third set of ships, but these are the most beautiful photographs. And I couldn't get them to load up on this thing because I'm a Zoom dude. And so when I got StreamYard, it was like, is there any chance you could check one of those up?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I mean, they've changed they're always changing the interface. So is the media assets, is that where it is now? Yes, it is. It is. It is.
Yeah,
Okay.
I understand. I'm not very good with the technology this way, but I can sit down and talk to you about higher mathematics all night long.
It only takes me a second to do this, so.
Can I sort of ramble on?
Yes, absolutely. But maybe you'll let me do multiples. I don't know. It'd be great if they did.
That would be rad. So it's just really important that we at least show one of the JPEG proofs so that people go, oh, yeah, that's a photograph. And, oh, gee, look, it's not been edited or manipulated in any way. And I know you're an expert. So that's why I sent you the JPEG.
No, I'm really not. No one's an expert. A lot of people claim to be experts, but I'm not an expert.
I don't know. You don't have to.
They've had a lot of experience.
I am blown away by your background. So it's like such an honor to talk to you too, because everybody I think is a huge Star Trek fan.
I'm just a guy that got lucky.
I knew a few people. There we go. This is great. I circled this one. This is off my balcony, and it's looking west. And I circled this because right at 8:00 on HNI, Star Trek, the original series, comes on. And, I've seen every episode 170 times. But every time I watch the show, I always learn something new or get a different idea or a different feeling from a nuance. It's so in-depth. And so I was watching The Survivors the other night on The Next Generation. That was crazy with the Dowd who destroys all the talk by thinking about them. That's so sad and so powerfully true about thoughts being things. So I'm watching Trouble with Tribbles, and right at 8:10, I hear a woman's voice very clearly in my left ear, and she said, David, please come outside. And so I went outside, and I have a little chair, and I've had the gardeners come and cut the branches back since the shift came in. But it's really interesting because it came in directly from the west. There's the JPEG, so it hasn't been edited because the camera's asking me if I want to edit it. That's such a pretty picture. Can you blow that up a little? Oh, this is just a JPEG. I sent you some.
There is probably one that's blown up. They don't have a feature to do that. I wish they did, where I could just scroll on it and let's see, what's that down there? No.
Okay, so when I was taken away, they taught me a language that they teach their children mathematics with, and it's all part of a greater system called telemetry. Well, this is amazing because their science of telemetry goes into deep stellar navigation. It goes into building third and that's a really nice shot. That's above my Chilean mesquite tree in my bakery garden. And you guys should screenshot that and blow it up at home because it has these big white panels that come off of it, and you can see it. It's a giant blue orb with these giant white decks. It's a real big ship. I had two top doctors who were computer designers at SpaceX just fascinated about my experience that came in because we were starting to talk about mathematics and stuff. After they returned me, a whole different type of person would come into my bakery. I was getting people from Vandenberg, people from NASA, just crazy, and they never knew why they were there except to buy a pie. So when we were all done talking, I pointed that out. It was right above us. It was about 6 p.m. And they all started crying. I mean, it was just amazing. And these are really lovely young 30-year-old people that, this is their first big job and they're into like designing spacesuits and shit. I wanted to remind everybody that there's some really lovely people that work in NASA, some really lovely people that work for the U.S. government. And, they just have to grin and bear it working for some of the personalities that they suffer through. And so it's important to remember that not everybody is a terrible person that work for the government. There's some really kind people.
For NASA, no, of course, there's really great and wonderful people there. I'm sure there are at SpaceX too, but I think they should all quit.
Yeah, me too.
Go work for NASA instead of serving that thing.
So. Oh no, he surreptitiously invited me to go sailing in Marina del Rey on his big yacht. I turned him down, and people called me back saying, hey, you can't turn him down. Who do you think you are? So what they taught me when they took me away was this mathematics language. And it's part of this larger system of mathematics technology that they shared with me. And it was so fascinating because when they said, you know, David, if you get involved with us and you help us share this message, it's going to change your life, and it's going to change a lot of drastic things, and it's going to be hard for you to, you know, deal with all of it. You're going to lose a lot of family members. You don't want to talk to them anymore. You're going to lose all your friends, you know, and your wife is going to have issues with you and all kinds of other stuff. I wasn't married at the time, but my ex-wife and I raised our son together, and she's a very good friend. So it's like, okay, well, let's do this. And so it's about the message, okay? It's not about, like, this is why, like, they warned me about things like Contact and these gigs that you can go to and they'll pay you to speak and, like, bear witness and show what photographs you have so everyone can clap. But time is moving so rapidly in the experience because they're pushing us so hard and pushing the envelope so hard right now to get everybody on board so that, you know, the message is about kindness, hope, love,
Yeah, it is.
compassion, and forgiveness. And that's why we resonate with you and Mary, because you always talk about hope and love. And this is why, like, I only, like, you know, will watch somebody who also resonates in things that are real, that our heart knows, that our heart will tell us are the truth. And so this is what sets us apart from all the rhetoric and all the nonsense, because we don't have to name names, but it's so sad because the people that are on stage that have an ego demand to get credit for all the discoveries about our friends from other planets visiting us, and then they make a buck. Well, Kim Jim told me, he said, David, we're going to give you a lot of wisdom, but don't ever put it on the back of a t-shirt. This is all stuff that you can give away for free. And when you have it, people will want to hear it. So what they did was they gave me this language called quantum hypertext, and it's a reduced symbolic nomenclature language. So instead of writing, like, how's your physics? Do you remember, like, Maxwell's theory of electromagnetism and how he gave us the right-hand rule, and James Clerk Maxwell showed us how what well, we've been teaching Edwardian physics to ourselves in university for the last 170 years. And we're standing on a slate with a diatom stick going 1 over r squared equals function f over delta 1 dot r hat. And you're writing out all these derivatives and symbols in physics nomenclature, and it takes hours and hours and hours. So that, you know, when you're looking at getting a PhD over a period of 17 years in physics, at least 5 years are spent standing in front of the chalkboard and all that time writing things out. It's like how many times you count stopping at a red light when you spend your life driving. It's the same amount of wasted time. If you can learn derivatives by looking at them, and you can study physics and it's already written down, why do they force you to get a chalk stick and write on a chalkboard for many hours? So if you write out James Clerk Maxwell's theorem, all right, and that's 190 symbols, you have to show Ampere's work and Gauss's work before him, because in physics, in astrophysics, all one scientist does is discovers more about what was discovered before. So it takes about 5 hours, if you're really good at physics, to write out Ampere's, Gauss's, and Maxwell's theory of electromagnetism so that you can explain electromagnetism. With quantum hypertext, I can write the entire amount of symbols with 32 symbols, which equals the exact same function of all of that Edwardian physics. And it takes me 20 minutes instead of 5 hours. Now, what I'm doing now is I'm adding a sound attribute to each of the mathematics symbols, so that when we want to express a higher mathematics coordinate system, if I was going to input something into a 3D printer for you to show you, like, a very unusual geometric shape, then I would want to be able to just type that out, and the computer will translate that. But if you want to share that same imagery system with other humans, if they know their physics and they know their geometry, then all you have to do with this system they taught me was to go like 9 minutes, and then you'll be able to see the visual geometric shape in your head. So the language that they taught me is all about development of our occipital area. This is your higher cognitive zone in your brain. And when you receive a light flash, like that ship came over my balcony, now it's swelled and reduced. At some point, it was a little bit of an obloid, and then it started flashing. I call that C.L.P.F and C.L.P.T. It's a continuous light pulse flashes and continuous light pulse technology. And every flash of light is a coordinated message built of images which they've placed inside of light photons. So when you get a stream of light into your eye, it does what? That light goes straight back to your occipital lobe. It's then sent as an electromagnetic or electrochemical signal to your parietal lobes. When your parietal lobes receive a very complex system of flashing lights, what they do is they send that as an enzymatic electrical signal down what's known as the diencephalon. And the diencephalon will take that electrical signal and it'll place the enzymes and the amino acids and coordinate into the area of your brain that signal was attenuated for. You see, they understand that we're hardwired to receive higher education and higher programming through flashes of light. And this is oftentimes why they flash at us. Because whether you realize it or not, because of your genetics, you're hardwired to receive a chemical electro-based message from them through your eyes. And then it'll eventually stack up and they'll come by again later and flash you again. And that final flash will be the trigger which releases all the information they give you. It's a fascinating way that they've coordinated all this information. So they showed me how to do higher physics by reducing the nomenclature into single symbols and then giving it a sound attribute. And then they said, consider the way the dolphins on Earth are communicating to each other 500 miles under the water. A dolphin can send out a sonic wave, which will send a sound wave through the water. That sound wave will capture all of the items in the water between the two pods of dolphins. So it'll show a school of herring, it'll show an oil tanker, it'll show, a storm or some crab that's in the water. And so that dolphin's able to send a sound wave, boom, and then the other dolphin receives it. Well, this quantum hypertext is much the same kind of language, because if you have any confusion about that math symbol, it's like, this is the symbol for Maxwell's theory. Well, how do you know? Well, then it can be deep to lapse. You turn it this way, and then all the symbols come out of it. Because that final symbol is made by taking that long stream of nomenclature and turning it around this way.
Hey,
so that can David Wallace read the crop circles? That's a really great question. Yes, in a lot of ways, I understand what they are, but I don't necessarily know the message. And the crop circle is also a form of C.L.P.T or image stacking, where there's a three-dimensional shape, but it's based in a 1 to 2-dimensional format. Now, crop circles are very fascinating. I lived in the UK for 12 years, and every time there was one of them going on, I would zip down there and go have a look at it when I could. They're like a message from Gaia, but they're also a message from them. And it's one of the ways Gaia communicates things to our friends. You see, people have made or have fallen asleep from the idea that Gaia is a living creature, our dear sweet Mother Earth.
We've more than fallen asleep from that.
It's a living being. And so it's only mankind's or humankind's arrogance that would assume that a message like that is for us. The crop circle is something that she communicates to our friends. And, I believe very much that the Earth is an ark where many dying species were rescued and deposited here. So they showed me this language, and they said what this will do for people is it will help them access regions of their higher cognitive centers because you've been put to sleep. You're no longer genetically evolving. Mm-hmm. Because you live in a world where everything's been invented for you, you're no longer pressuring yourself to evolve cerebrally. So if you give them quantum hypertext, it will cause everybody to stop for a moment and think about dimensionality within shapes. Like if you took a crop circle and you made a 3D print of that disc shape and you put it on a gimbal and spun it at 1,000 RPM, I guarantee it, you'd get a three-dimensional component. It's like almost like you could take 500 random crop circles,
You should
print them
try
on
that.
a 3D printer, spin them, and they become a
I have one.
three-dimensional object. And then it becomes like some sort of like crazy mechanism for like an antique theorem machine.
Mhm.
There's so much information that's available to us when we start trying to come up with tools to access our higher cognitive functions. Because when we can start pressuring ourselves to evolve cerebrally, then we feel a very deep sense of responsibility. You know, we like to say that we're caretakers, but are we really? So if we develop a much higher cognitive focus on how we affect our environment just by our mere presence, then we'll become feeling a lot deeper feelings about being caretakers towards Mother Earth.
That's true. But first, we need to go into the removal business.
Well, you know, it's funny because they've been
We
working
need
on
to remove a few things.
they've been working on that for a long time. They love us very dearly, and they have removed some very evil influences from our paths. And we've gotten to the
They got
point
a
now.
lot more to go, but they kind of want
there
us
are.
to do it, and we can do it, and we will do it.
Don't get me
Because
started. I mean, I'm a full believer in karma. I like to put their feet on the fire and make them.
I wonder. You know, one thing's
Yeah.
for sure, and that is that the United States population has never been more united than they are today.
Oh
And,
yeah,
and we're united against them. So because
right.
we don't want their hateful world, and that's part
No,
of this. We
and it's
don't want
really
the destruction to our forests and our animals. We
yeah,
don't want any of that. So
right.
and people are uniting,
Yeah,
all types, both sides, right and left, are uniting to
yeah,
say
it's
no.
beautiful.
Just say no. Doesn't have to be
Yeah.
violent. Don't have to be nasty like they are. You just say no. We're not going to allow this. And there's millions of us and a few thousand of them, so it's all going to happen. And
Sure.
and really, the visitors, that's the way they want it to happen. I believe. I mean, they want us to do it. You know, asking to be saved, is just not the way to do things. We need to save ourselves. So, and we will,
And that
because we have
that's
to.
that's part of the message, isn't it? It's part of the message of hope, compassion, love, and forgiveness, because they're truly
Yeah.
our higher aspects, and it's not hard to be that way. You know, you
No.
just have to believe in yourself and believe in love. I mean, I believe that love is the greatest power of all. You know,
You believe in healing too.
Yeah, when honestly, they utterly healed me on every level, and they're my dearest friends. It's
So your health
so
is
strange.
good.
Oh yeah, and
Good.
it's funny too. I'll be 60 on the 9th, so we all share the sort
You're
of
a
same.
spring chicken.
Yeah, well, I tell you,
You got 13 years on you.
I feel like I've been sleeping under an apple tree until I met them. I swear to God.
Your 60s are great. It's when you hit your 70s, you go, "What the hell is this?"
Well, you know, it's funny too, because when I was 10 back in 1975. We had relatives that lived in the city, and so my mom and dad and my brother and I drive up to San Francisco, and there'd still be people there at the hate with purple velvet bell bottoms and dry flowers in their beards. It was brilliant. It was just brilliant.
Yeah, I were. You brought up dolphins. Are you aware that trying to communicate with them the way you're suggesting, or just plain out in layman's terms, to try to telepathically communicate with the dolphin is against the law, federal law? You can be fined $150,000 for doing that. It's on the books. You can go look it up.
Crazy.
And you don't say, "What's up with that?" You know what's up with that. You know that our government is working with dolphins, and so is Russia and everyone else. They have been for years. They know they're psychic, and they know they can command them to do things that way, but they don't want any of us doing it.
Well, dolphins
Think
are
about what we could do with those dolphins if we turned them on them.
Very successful species. They've been here for 120 million years longer than us, and
They
they've
used to be
evolved.
on land too.
Yeah, it's a shame because they've got to
What did I do?
trying.
Strike a card? Thank you, Susan.
Hey, Susan. Awesome. I don't want to talk about government strapping limpet mines to dolphins. we know these things exist, and I try not to
Yeah,
put it
sure.
out. But, you know,
I was shocked when I found that out.
you know, but you're a beach kid, and when it warms up in the summertime and the water clears up, they're going to be swimming out in your place. So when it's 3 foot, go body surfing, and you'll communicate with them because they communicate with you. We go out here, you know, I'm fortunate to be in Hermosa Beach. My son and I go body surfing, and the dolphins show up. It's so cool, and you can feel them
they're wonderful.
You can feel them underwater. They're great.
Yep,
They're
they
great.
are. So
there's a lot of potential, but just before I shut up, there's a lot of potential for this mathematics language. It isn't. I don't get a rush from working with PhDs or people in aerospace. I talk to an awful lot of people because I'm in a higher mathematics group. I'm in some higher studies. I'd like to get a PhD in mathematics, but that's, you know, on the back burner for right now. But what I do see is that the gifts that they gave me, they're really interested in all of us developing a relationship with our mind and pressing ourselves to learn something that's difficult to learn. Because the more neural ganglia your brain gets in the habit of producing, then it becomes exponential. And the more you're self-aware about your own abilities, the greater the potential of the power of love and forgiveness and kindness. They can't stop us now. We're all like love warriors anyways. We're like the new hippie.
Yeah.
You know,
well, they sure would like to.
Oh, yeah. But you know what? They'll never stop us. We just keep getting stronger and stronger.
We'll never be fully rid of them because it's part of the yin yang. But, you know, right now it's terribly out of balance and we need to put the balance back. So,
right there.
Yes. So Mary and I made an observation the other day and like, hey, we have a lot of whistleblower friends and we don't hear from them anymore. Oh, Earl, thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Earl.
We have a lot of whistleblower friends, and plus watching as we do, keeping up on things, it's very important. We don't see a lot of whistleblowers talking right now. And they're not getting back to us. They're not returning phone calls. There's like this silence all of a sudden. And I was talking about it with Whitley and some other people, and it's very possible that they've been told to shut up or else.
Well, you know,
they're being threatened because they can threaten them because they had agreements they made with the military and with the government not to talk about this stuff. I know they've expired, but in some cases, but not in all cases. But either way, hey, you were working for us, you were military, and if we tell you we'll cut your throat, we'll cut your throat.
Yeah, they
either that or they all just went silent all of a sudden because they had other things to do, which is possible. I suppose anything
unfortunately, it opens the path, doesn't it? It opens the path for more nonsense. I don't know. I try not to pass judgment on who might be a legit source of information.
Mm-hmm.
I keep telling everybody in my friendship circles that we're way past things like talking about the mass landing. The mass landing's been going on for the last 10 years. I mean, it's like 44 ships seen in South Africa over the last 2 months. There's been 14 in Argentina, 22 in West Germany, and there's been 50 in the UK over the last 3 months. And these, you know, it's just people coming forward. It's just gotten really hard to find free Radio Europe, really hard to find individual podcasts in Poland, Hungary, Czechoslovakia. Central Europe is full of these amazing young people and older people that all have this experience about meeting our friends that have come down to help them, to assist them, and to show people that it's okay. It's, you know, you're part of our family. You're part of us. We're part of you. And
somebody's trying to shut it down, though.
It's been, it's super difficult to find free Radio Europe. Honestly, it's just like all of the websites have been sequestered.
Thank you.
That was a scam. They're all a scam. They've all been watched by Big Brother.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I agree. It's look, I mean, whoever decided to fly drones all over the place, because they really are our drones. To do that, they did it, I believe, to distract from the actual UFOs that were being seen, because you have a
Oh,
50-50 mix. Sometimes it's even greater than that. I think there's probably more video of actual things we can't explain that are clearly not our aircraft. And I
wow.
get people saying all the time, well, that's just probably a plane or this or that. And it's like, well, they forget. I've been in aviation for a while and like all my life, and I know the difference. And so we have actual videos of things that are hundreds of them every month, because people saw the drones, and so they're all paying attention, they're all looking up, they've got their cell phones, and they're capturing amazing stuff. And it's hard for everyone to keep up with it, but Mary and I have a couple of sources that
Right.
collect all the UFO videos that are coming through daily and
Great.
putting them together in little shows, and they talk about them. And
Yeah.
God bless those people, because
Sure.
um, they're bringing this stuff up and showing it to us,
Right.
and it's jaw dropping. A lot of it, some of it's obviously fake, and they know it too, but
Right.
more of it is not. So
Well, that's why it's really important when I shoot you a photograph or shoot Mary a photograph. Because I sent you guys quite a bit of stuff. I always show you that like JPEG section, so you know it's not been played with. I don't have
right,
the money, time, or technology, or know how to monkey around with pictures. I could dim them and make them brighter and stuff, and look for other geometry that way. But that's it. It's all done with my phone. But yeah,
right.
so it's it's really interesting, because if people want to have their friends come down, you just need to go out in the backyard, pick a patch in the sky, and let your heart out, let your feelings out. I mean,
David,
yeah,
get a better camera than the cell phone. You're seeing a lot of these, and I've seen the pictures over the months, and you get a lot of activity. Imagine if you had a good SLR that would work
I
in
was
low
thinking about
light
getting, I was thinking about getting a Canon.
with at least a
Absolutely.
75 millimeter lens on it, maybe a little better. You would be able to get some dynamite pictures. So I
Yeah.
highly
Okay.
recommend the Sony A7 because they're on sale right now. It's
Right.
4K, and go for it if you can, because
Okay. Oh yeah. Listen, every time I try and get a video, my camera just goes.
so does your
And it's
internet
interesting.
connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're frozen up. So Mary was saying that that's the other thing that's going on, is that somebody is just flooding the internet with fakes, and the problem with that is that a lot of people who don't know better or believe they're real, and they're even fighting over it. No, that's real, and it's so obviously AI. The AI has improved a great deal, but it'll never improve so well that I can't look and say, gee, that guy's walking funny, or he's got his feet don't look right, or the hands, they fixed that now, but it's so obvious, and yet it's somebody's doing this now. A lot of it's probably pranksters, but there's so much of it, it makes you wonder, is someone deliberately trying to muddy the waters? Because that's our government's MO. That's how they do things.
Yeah.
And they're experts. As Mary said, for 80 years they've been doing this stuff. They know how to do it,
Yeah.
but
No, it's
also they're
horrible.
very sloppy.
Yeah. It's obfuscation, and the drone thing was a mind blow. I really liked the observations that you and Mr. Strieber and your guests have come up with about that. And it's funny. There's a biological unit that's in our human body called a telomere, and it's a transfer mechanism within your immune system that brings information to different parts of your body that need healing. And so telomeres that you create from your own health travel around inside your body looking for trouble and looking for fires to put out. They're great. It's one of our defense mechanisms, but they're called telomeres. That's what I call their little orb ships, is telomeres. Some of them are quite large, like the one that it was above my balcony. That's quite large. It's probably the size of a 11-bedroom house. But the thing is that the little ones that come down and they flash lights at us, they're leaving you an embed. They're leaving you a electrochemical signature that your mind will attenuate eventually. It doesn't happen immediately. after they train your mind how to absorb these flashes of light, then and they'll send you a trigger that sends them all off. Then all of a sudden, within 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, you can understand what, when a light goes, you understand immediately what it means and what message they're giving you. It's almost the same as hearing a voice. So when they put up all those drones, it really obfuscated a huge delivery of telomeres from them, because everybody in this family has been awake for quite a while. You've been awake for many years. This all started for me on January 7th, 2017. That's when I woke up. And I thought I was a nice person, and I was a nice person, never got in trouble, always worked with animal charities, all kinds of wonderful science programs. But I wasn't really complete until it happened. And then they broke my heart, and then they showed it to me, and then they just said, everything's fine. They took away all of my pain, all the shit that happened to me, pardon my language, all the terrible things that happened to me. They took it all away. And so every day since then, I've had such a great day. Every day in my life has just been a blessing. And I don't make any money. I make enough to pay our bills, pay the bills for my pie shop, and take care of my 28-year-old son who doesn't know if he wants to go to school or get a job. And he helps me make great.
There's a lot of people in that age group that feel that way.
Yeah, and money's got nothing to do with anything. I mean, I'm a working class slob, and it's just that I'm really lucky that they came into my life and asked me if I wanted to help them. This is about the message. It's about hope, compassion, love, and forgiveness. These are all the beautiful things that we can carry with us all throughout our days. I very much believe that thoughts are things. And so whatever we think, we will manifest. So we have to be very careful about our thoughts and make sure that
it is true.
Have to be very careful about our thoughts, what sort of thoughts we have that rotate in the back of our mind like an algorithm. And if they're not being helpful, and if they're not being full of hope and love and compassion, then sort of maybe change your thoughts towards that direction. I always try and run a tape loop of love and feelings of hope for everybody. And it just sort of helps me when all the bad vibes come at me from the cell phone towers. I just fight it back by sending out compassion and love. It's like we all have a field, an edge of a blanket to hold up, or the rescue blanket.
Good job, Damon. We are too. What was I going to say? You watched the little intro we had at the beginning of the show. And of course, that's taken from my film, But Something Is There. And that is absolutely, totally accurate. The set we built of my bedroom, where I slept, what happened that night. And I was 6 years old. So, and I never forgot that. Never, ever. Because it happened again and again and again. But that was the first time I can remember. And I didn't know exactly what was going on, but I knew somehow deep down inside of myself that it was supposed to happen and that it was familiar. And that's all I knew. And for years and years and years, that's all I knew. And strange things kept happening. And I said, well, the strange things that happened in the house at night were one thing, and the stuff I saw in the sky were another. And then along came communion, and I always tell Whitley it's all his fault. So, but that's how it happened for me. And
have you,
what's that?
Have you found that even though this is a lifetime thing, because I'm so glad you brought this up, have you found that recently you're having a lot more contact than you're sort of used to or were used to remembering, that right now you're having actually more experiences than you did? Or is it sort of the same level of experience all the way through since you were so?
Well, no, I mean, the actual, bright light in my room and in they come stuff has not been so frequent. But what's been more frequent are their visitations to me on a spiritual level in my dreams, waking up in the morning and having visions that I'd have to open my eyes, look around the room, close them again, and say, I'm really seeing that. And that's been happening a great deal more. And also the driving force behind the work I'm doing for this channel. A lot of times, I wake up in the morning and there's something I have to do, and I do it, and I I question where that comes from, but I think it could be from them, but it's always a suggestion. It's never an order. It's never something that you have to do. There's never an or else.
Right.
So, um,
it's like a loving suggestion.
Yeah, I get little voices telling me to stay out of trouble. That I have a lot of important things to do still, so don't
Right.
watch how far you go with certain criticisms of people that can have you rubbed out so easily.
Right.
But then again, a certain part of me also refuses to show fear. I've always been that way ever since a kid. I'm sure I've got fear, but it wouldn't stop me from jumping off a pier into a huge wave with the rest of the kids. You know what I mean? It was just, I would always face my fear. It'd be there, but I would not allow it to stop me from doing something I love, whether it be racing a car or, sitting on top of a rocket. If I ever got a chance to do that, I would have been scared to death, but I would have done it. So
yeah, well, you're a very strong person by nature, and I think that
I guess so.
You are, and I've emailed you before and tell you how much my friends about my family who live in the sky, they are proud of you, and they feel things through us. They're not necessarily emotional, but they do observe how we respect each other, and they understand feelings and thoughts that we use with each other as a commonality between us. Their emotions are highly elevated, so they understand things that are more enzymatic in nature. They understand how we are controlled by enzymes and amino acids. When they touch you and hold your hand, or when you're sick and you're asleep and they have their hand right here, there's an exchange that occurs. It's like RNA that passes through your skin into theirs. And they take that lesson that you give them back with them. And it brings them back to their humanity so that it helps them work with us. Your presence with them helps them understand you, Steve.
Yeah,
And so,
well,
and it's interesting because they know what we're all going through.
yeah, but I'm starting to remember what's going on. Lee, thank you so much, Lee. Really appreciate you.
Hey, brother.
As I get older, look, I mean, first day, I remember looking in the mirror the first time and going, this isn't happening. I remember going to my first day of school and saying, looking around the room and saying, I'm not one of them. This is a mistake. Something's wrong. And I felt that all my life.
I'm sorry for laughing. It's not funny. It's like, I know what you mean, man.
Well, yeah, but years later, I'm starting to remember, and I'm starting to remember that, yeah, I agreed to do this dumb thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was afraid, but my curiosity, as Dennis pointed out, was overrode that, and so I guess I agreed to do it. At least,
yeah.
I can't be 100% sure of anything, but I can be 90%. I got to leave that little buffer, that little zone there, just in case. But that I think being raised in a family of scientists, engineers, and artists and stuff that comes sort of natural.
Right. Well, that's nice.
To debunk yourself, to have skepticism, healthy skepticism, as they would say. But yeah, I mean, from what I've been told is that, yes, I agreed to do this, and I did it so that we could understand what it meant to be human. And in doing that, when we talk about people like Elon, it's important to remember. And as mad as I get sometimes, I have to remember that he was a little innocent child, and he was treated very badly by his parents and abused and everything else. And that really shaped him, and it shaped a lot of people. Even Mr. T was shaped by his parents and treated very poorly. And thank you, Gerald. I really appreciate it. So as hard as it is, sometimes you have to understand that somewhere something went wrong with these people, and on some level, they're not fully responsible for who they become, but they could stand outside of themselves, take a good close look and say, what am I doing? I would hope, but maybe
Yeah.
not. I don't know. I'm not them. And thankfully I didn't end up being born on Earth in their situation. So it's hard for me to accurately judge anyone like that. But I do know they're a threat to the planet and to good people, and so that is a problem.
Yeah, the never-ending demagoguery of pretending that space belongs to us. It just makes me sick. This is why they're not going to let us go to Mars, because they've already told me, tell everybody that you know in your community, you're not going to Mars. You're not going to go. You're going to get one Earth distance past the moon,
well,
and you're going to have a heart attack. Because you need to be on Earth as part of your genome. You know?
If the wonderful successes of the Starship are any example, I mean that they, okay, great. They can recapture with a pair of pliers the booster. That's a good trick. You guys did well. You figured all that engineering out and math. But the main spacecraft continually gets torn up. The last one went out of control and came apart and rained garbage down over the Earth, and people complained about it, and he can't get any success with that Starship, and that is the vehicle that everybody hoped would be the thing that would take it to Mars and back to the moon, all these other things. So far, not so good, huh? And it's almost like someone's up there with a hand backhanding it every time.
Well,
as long as we're going to the space station and hanging out in the space station, everything's fine. But even that's been problematic lately. So who knows?
Oh, dude, don't get me started. I mean, every once in a while I'll get an invite to go talk to some retired people from Boeing, and there'll be some NASA people there, and because they're interested in quantum hypertext, they like, because I'm writing textbooks. This is going to be introduced on the university level. It's my life's mission. They gave it to me. I got to see it through fruition. I'm almost done. But the thing is that they'll listen to me talk about people from other planets, but they'll be like, yeah, get on with the mathematics part of it. They won't call me an idiot. It's almost like they know about it. And
nuts and bolts.
Yeah. U.S. government and world governments are watching your show, know what's going on. They don't know what's going on. Our friends from other planets don't come down to the fear box to talk to them. They have no idea what the plan is for the planet. Do you remember the story of the Time Machine by H.G. Wells?
No, of course.
Remember
I've actually sat in the actual time machine from the film.
Oh wow, fantastic! Yeah. Well, they've had it on TCM, so I've been watching the Time Machine every day. And the Morlocks go underground. Well, that's the whole Dick Cheney enterprise of people that think nuclear bombs are terrific. They build all those big limestone tunnels, fill them up with macaroni and cheese, Jello, and Similac, and they can live underground. Except where Gaia is going, where Mother Earth is taking us, they're not coming. They don't know what's going on. And so they watch your show. They watch other shows. That's just to find out. And they can't even come close to us. I sent Mary a picture of those two government SUVs that were following me. I had one behind me and one in front of me just the other week, because I was starting to post these pictures of these fabulous visits that we just shared. And I'm not intimidated. It's ridiculous because they don't know what to do. They're living in a fear box. They watch our show and maybe a couple of other shows that are legitimate, because, after our friends came and got me, I didn't want to have anything to do with anything anymore. I stayed home for 3 months. My son had to bring me groceries. It was like nuts. Barbara Lamb helped me get over it, and so did a really nice psychiatrist who got me through my peace officer standards of training and police academy. I was in the sheriff's department for 4 years in Mendocino. And I talked to that psychiatrist who passed me for that test. And he listened to the whole story and said, that's amazing. And he said, embrace it. It's like you met God. And he didn't call me nuts. And this was an FBI shrink. So it was like, all right. So there's nothing they can do until they decide to give up all the indoctrination and the bullshit they've been peddling, pardon my language. Yeah. And then,
we have to knock this shit off, and then we can go explore.
Yeah, we're the ones that are free. All we got to do is walk out in the backyard and start crying. And they'll come down and they'll say, what's wrong? You know, they're waking all of us up. It's about helping hearts. And that's why you're such a beautiful soul, Steve.
Well,
Because
very
you
nice
wake
of you to
people,
say.
you support people's hearts. And it's beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, David. I keep doing this because my dog goes in, my dog goes out.
Oh, you know, it's so,
on your snout.
so wonderful to see that she's healed. And I remember when you put it out to the community that she wasn't very well, and I know everybody got involved.
She hurt her leg. She hurt her leg. You know,
we all stand love.
She's going on 7 years old, so you know.
Yeah. I know it's tough. I've got a 11-year-old Japanese Akita who's a rescue, and I have a 16 and a half year old Lost Opso, and he was he's adorable. He has 8 toes on every paw. I rescued him from a trailer park in Portland, Oregon. I got a call from PETA, and so I flew up there. And I've had him for 5 years. It's like one of the greatest joys of my life.
They are. I just love my dogs. I miss Rosie terribly. I'm so glad to have Nova, and I can't be a whole person without a dog. It just seems like, you know, I really can't. It just
right.
There's just something about them that I can't, you know. And I noticed that some of you here have been watching Derek, who is the vegan Buddhist cook, and his dog Frankie. We all love Frankie.
That's great.
Sorry, Derek, but I think half the time I watch the show just to see your dog because it makes me feel so good, you know, so well. So, but if you haven't watched him, I highly recommend him, and he won't turn you vegan if you're afraid of that, but you shouldn't be, because you live longer, and you know, the way Derek put it is, he says, I never wanted to do anything that would harm or hurt anyone else, and so he doesn't want to harm animals, so he stopped eating them. And what he does with food that's all plant-based is amazing, you know. So and Frankie steals the show.
You know, when you get to a certain age, when you start to see things more deeply, things make more sense, and you
start to remember.
You
start to remember.
And so you can
know everything. But it's been, you know, when we came here, it was wiped clean, sort of.
Right.
But as you get older and you get towards the end, it all starts coming back. Oh, now I remember. And God, what have I been doing? Well, you've been being human all these years.
Do you remember anybody in your family, like maybe a grandmother or a great grandmother, talking about something called the veil of forgetfulness? Do you ever remember hearing about that? I have a very interesting sort of lineage, but I had a Swedish great grandmother, and she used to talk about the veil of forgetfulness. She said that when children are born, they're given a veil of forgetfulness. It's from heaven, so that they don't bring burdens from where they were before. They don't bring trauma. They don't bring things from where they were before. And it's a very old sort of Nordic belief system that there's a veil of forgetfulness that a child is given, so that it doesn't become burdened by past life issues. And so when you're older, you will begin to come to that curtain, like the stage curtain. But that's also the veil of forgetfulness. And so it's like, you know, the Buddhists believe that when we pass away, it's like changing clothes. You just change one set of clothes into another. And so I guess there's a lot of this thing that we share as spirits. And, you know, the only thing that served me the best with all of my experience with people from other worlds is it just made me more conscientious about being kind to everybody.
Yeah.
And not and not trying to BS anybody, because you never find me on a stage getting paid, pointing at a screen, talking about it. It's no way. But I will do mathematics programs. I'm not enamored to technology. I don't see any animal on the earth benefiting because you can buy a cell phone. Technology is a scam. And I don't know why they're spending billions of dollars on trying to figure out how big the universe is. Why? The universe is boundless. It's created by your conception of your own consciousness.
Well, I'm grateful for Webb and for Hubble for the beautiful things that we're able to see, because we can't go out there yet. And and I also am grateful to Webb for for messing. I'm trying to put this into words that are clean, for messing up the minds of box-headed, full of themselves scientists who think they know it all. It's totally just showing them they don't know jack turds.
Absolutely.
They don't. And Webb is just showing them that everything you thought you knew about the universe, this one little universe, was wrong.
Oh man, I know. They keep
and it's okay. We can't know everything. I don't even care to know everything, except I'm told I do already, and because we're all the same, we all share, and we're connected by this cosmic web of consciousness, and that's wonderful. But at the same time, it doesn't matter how much I know, as long as I know having compassion and love for another consciousness. That whether it be on 2 legs or 4 legs or 39 legs somewhere out there, is just that's what's really important. Contact, love, sharing.
Right.
And I remember when I saw the movie Altered States the first time. I was young, I was in my 20s, and I thought I knew a lot, and I was hanging out with Timothy Leary, and I was very cosmic and all these things. And I saw that movie, and when it ended, after all the buildup at the end, it was just him and his wife together and saying all that matters in the end is love. I thought, well, that's lame, but I totally get that now, what they were going for. And another movie that did that too was Brainstorm with Christopher Walken and Natalie Wood. His last words were, "Look at the stars." Exactly. If you haven't seen that movie, I'm talking to all of you guys out there, you need to go back and watch it. Doug Trumbull was an amazing man. He brought us the effects for 2001. He brought us Silent Running. He brought us Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Blade Runner, and so many others. But one thing you didn't know about Doug is he was very interested in UFOs and cosmology and all these things that we're interested in.
Right.
And in that film, you can see it in the Brainstorm. Amazing.
Well, I absolutely agree. Some of the most marvelous films. And it's interesting because I spent some time in academia trying to validate everything that they told me, and also to try and figure out how to write their language to translate it. I know there's a lot of people that can heal others, and I'm not really a healer. I'm more of a translator, and I've become very good at mathematic systems and looking at things and seeing higher geometry. It's just like what we were discussing with crop circles, and ancient languages are much the same way. You look at a hieroglyph or a cuneiform mark in some Sumerian clay tablet, it also carries the dimensionality. And I guess the most important thing that they taught me was that if you're going to talk to other human beings, make sure you're trying to say something that supports them to a point where you guys are doing the right thing with the time that you're given here. Time is such a beautiful, interesting, elusive thing. And I don't really like how academia is spending the billions of dollars that they receive, in both tax dollars and other ways, on a lot of these projects where they've compartmentalized things so that the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing, but the end result is known by a few. And I don't like deciding what things are. I hate it in academia when they tell you, that it's 300 million light years to Andromeda and you'll never get there. Well, I don't know. I met some people from the Taurus cloud that
Oh, I can get there.
hold space and time, and they can get there in like a moment.
You can get there. I can get there. We can all get there. We, like you said, we just have to know it in ourselves. And, you know, consciousness transcends time, space, physics, all of it. Because consciousness came first. Consciousness is what made all this crap. Defined it. So, you know, it's, God, you know, just close your eyes and imagine going to Andromeda. You can do it. You can see it. Take some work. I'm good at it.
Oh, yeah.
But everybody can be.
And you know, it's one of the things that my mom taught my brother and I when we were really young was that if we closed our eyes and repeated something over and over again, that we'd dream about it. And so we used to really have amazing dreams because my brother and I slept in the same room until we were about 10. And we would decide to pick a subject. So sometimes we'd be picking like exploring a volcano. Sometimes we'd be exploring a world full of dinosaurs. And we'd repeat that over and over again before we fell asleep. And sometimes we would dream about being in each other's dreams. And it would be about dinosaurs.
Yeah, that is an amazing effect. It really is.
Oh, dude. I mean, it's like, and if you repeat to yourself over and over again what it is that you want to visit when you're dreaming, you'll just go. And so Andromeda to me is, I love, you know, deep space telescopes and photographs as well. I think that they're wonderful, and they only confirm to me the majesty of the great divine creator that made it. You know,
consciousness making the greatest art of all.
Right.
And you look at the Orion Nebula, it's absolutely gorgeous.
Oh yeah, yeah. So it's just been a treat to see you, and you know
David.
The first time that I came on, I really did sort of barrel on about stuff because I was so excited to see you.
Well, this is your show. It's not about me. You're on this show. So we can listen to you, and I can get carried away at times, and I apologize if I do that. So.
Oh no, dude! I appreciate everything you say. It's just such a pleasure to tune in, and you really just keep being the kind and honest.
I'm trying.
And you know, we love you.
We love you too, David.
It's a huge community of support, and you know, it's fabulous what's happening, and we're all individually experiencing different levels of contact and higher cognition. So don't worry about being at a certain level or seeing this thing or feeling that. It'll all happen naturally. All you got to do is just believe in the divine and go pick a patch of stars that you like and send it some love, and it'll come back.
I do that every night, and really, yeah, I'm okay. Alchemist. I'm fine. Thank you for asking. I do. I mean, I just love the stars. That's why I love telescopes and all of that stuff. And I've never changed ever since the first time I looked up. So and said, hey, I know I've come from out there somehow to here some way. So and now that I'm getting older, it's like, okay, so I'm good. You know, I'm not in a hurry to leave. But when I do have to leave, I'm not coming back right away. I understand that you can make that choice, and I want to hang out with some people that, if they're there, and some four-legged ones too that I miss terribly, and spend some time. But then again, when you're there, if what you think you're spending years may be less than the blink of an eye down here, so. It's all, as Susan said, it's all the same. We're all the same. I am you, you are me. We are all the same, right, Susan? It's true. That's what she said. That's what they told her.
Right, and it's true, and it's all relative. It really is. Time is relative because we have to constantly remind ourselves to be in this moment, in the now.
Thank you, Mr. Einstein. Yeah.
But you know, he was really interesting because he never got quantum mechanics. He thought it was a waste of time, and I agreed with it. You know, There's the whole thing about everything being quantized to a particle and super colliders. There's another giant waste of money. I'm sorry, but it's just
What's a great waste of money? Another waste of money?
super colliders. You know,
Oh, super colliders. Yeah, and they're dangerous too.
Yeah, it's just
But
a waste of money. I'm sorry.
Human beings love to play with fire, and in some respects, it's gotten us really far. In other respects, it's sent us backwards. So,
oh, listen, I had a hard time trying to graduate because, you know, I'm vociferous about my personal beliefs. And at a certain point when you're graduating in a higher mathematics course or a science like astrophysics or optical sciences, these agents come in from three-letter agencies offering jobs to students, you know, with a really amazing package. And, you know, would you be interested in designing a telemetry program to send an ICBM to Mars if we had to? You know, and it's $250,000 a year. You get to move to Kennebunkport, yada, yada, yada. It's creepy, you know, because we like to think that universities are being, you know, supported by patricians and matriarchal families. They're not. It's all government sponsorship.
Yeah,
it's awful.
Sure.
It's awful. So I believe that everybody's a scientist. You know, you look at a flower, you look at a rock or a river and smell the stuff in the wind, you're a scientist. That's it.
That's right. I just appreciate it so much. And I appreciate you so much, David. And I really thank you for being here tonight. We'll be sure to have you back again. And just thank you for all the kindness and all the love and the wonderful things you said. We really appreciate you.
Listen, you're amazing, and we love you, and the whole world is full of love, and we have to love each other and support each other. Otherwise, we won't have a universe full of love.
Yep, that's right. And thank you, everyone here tonight, all my friends, all my family. We love you a great deal, and thank you for being here. And we'll see you next week, next Friday. No, we're not. No, but we will see you tomorrow after Dale Robinson's show. He's going to talk about his encounter, and I spent quite a long time on his film, and after that, we'll have a nice talk, and we'll see you all then. Thank you so much.